Welcome to the History Story Podcast. Are you ready for another fascinating historic road trip?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to pull some incredible tales straight from history books and uncovered sources.
Love it.
Today, we're taking a historic road trip back to 16th century Europe,
Ooh, where are we going?
to the Nuremberg celestial phenomenon of 1561. Ever heard of it?
Nuremberg celestial phenomenon? Rings a bell, but refresh my memory.
Okay, so imagine this. It's April 14th, 1561.
Right.
Dawn's just breaking over Nuremberg.
Nuremberg, okay.
Really vibrant city in the Holy Roman Empire back then. And between 4 and 5 in the morning...
Early risers.
Yeah, many men and women witnessed something totally bizarre in the sky.
Oh.
Near the rising sun.
Okay, so what did they see? What's so bizarre?
It's a historical what-the-heck moment. I mean, truly. Our mission on this historic road trip is to unpack it.
Let's get into it.
We're going to explore what happened, why it caused such a stir back then, and all those wild theories that have popped up over the centuries.
That's like fun.
Get ready to challenge what you thought you knew about history, and maybe even the skies above.
All right, let's dive into the details. This Nuremberg event, what actually happened?
Well, luckily we have a primary source, which is so valuable.
Primary source, great.
It's a broadsheet from a Nuremberg printer named Hans Glaser, like the news of the day, you know.
Okay, so what does this news tell us?
Complete with illustrations.
Ooh, illustrations.
And Glaser describes these two blood-red semicircular arcs appearing in the sun almost like a waning moon.
Wow, so right off the bat, that's pretty striking imagery. Blood-red arcs in the sun.
Definitely not your average sunrise, right?
Yeah.
But then things got even weirder.
Weirder. How so?
According to Glaser, spheres of all sorts of colors started appearing in and around the sun.
Okay, spheres, what kind of colors?
Dull ones, black ones, and more blood-red ones.
More blood red, huh?
Yeah, but not just randomly scattered. These were arranged in lines and even square groupings.
Hold on. Lines and squares. Like some kind of formation.
Exactly. So you've got these organized shapes, different colors, and then to top it off, blood-red crosses appear.
Blood red crosses, wow.
And these strips or rods, he even compares them to reed grass filling the spaces between the globes.
Okay, starting to get a pretty vivid picture here.
But it wasn't just a static image. These things were moving.
Moving how?
Glaser says they began to fight among themselves.
Fight, like what? A celestial battle.
Globes shooting out from the sun, clashing with each other and then going back. This went on for over an hour.
An hour-long sky battle. That's pretty intense.
He uses the word vehement, so it was a pretty dramatic spectacle for those watching.
No kidding. So how did this celestial showdown end?
Well, it seems these objects appear to fall from the sun down upon the earth as if they all burned and vanished in this immense smoke.
So they just plummeted to earth and disappeared in smoke.
That's what the broadsheet says. And then, as if that wasn't enough, a massive black spear appears.
A black spear.
Very long and thick, Glaser writes, pointing east with its tip towards the west.
What a strange final act to this whole event.
It's no wonder Glaser called it a dreadful apparition and a very frightful spectacle. Can you imagine witnessing all that?
I can only imagine. I mean, seeing what looked like a war in the heavens would have been unsettling, to say the least.
Yeah, totally. And to understand the reaction back then, we have to remember the context. Nuremberg in 1561 was a deeply religious and superstitious society.
So anything unusual in the sky would have a much deeper meaning.
Exactly. They wouldn't just see it as some curious event. They'd see it as a sign from God, maybe a warning of some kind.
A divine message in the clouds.
Right. And remember, the Reformation was still going on, so there was a lot of religious anxiety and debate going on.
People were already primed to look for signs and omens.
Absolutely. Plus, broadsheets like Glaser's were how news spread back then, and they often had religious or moral messages embedded in them.
So it's not surprising Glaser interpreted this event the way he did.
Exactly. He saw the whole thing as a divine warning against sinfulness.
Calling for repentance and all that.
Yeah, he even criticized those who mocked such signs. So you can see how this event was understood through a religious lens.
Fear of God's wrath, that sort of thing.
Right, exactly. It's fascinating, though. This event was largely forgotten for centuries.
Really? You'd think something this dramatic would stick around in the collective memory.
You would, but it didn't really resurface until the 20th century.
Why then?
Carl Jung, the psychoanalyst, discussed it in his 1958 book On Flying Saucers.
Carl Jung, interesting.
He brought the event back into the conversation, but through a psychological perspective, not as literal spacecraft.
Okay, so how do we make sense of all this with these different perspectives?
Yeah.
We've got the 16th century view, then the modern views. Where do we even start?
Well, let's start with how the people of the time interpreted it.
Okay, makes sense.
In the 16th century, as we saw in Glazer's broadsheet, it was a divine omen. God sending a message, and those images, the crosses, the fighting, they all fit that religious narrative of good versus evil.
Right, a battle in the heavens reflecting the spiritual struggles on Earth.
Exactly. But, of course, with the rise of science, a more skeptical view emerged. The most common explanation: sundogs.
Sundogs.
Yeah, or other atmospheric optical illusions, sunlight refracting through ice crystals, creating strange effects.
Okay, I've seen those. Sometimes they can look pretty unusual.
Right. And the argument is that Glaser and the other witnesses, without a scientific understanding, might have interpreted these lights and shapes as familiar objects and their movements as a battle.
So a case of mistaken identity.
Hmm.
They saw what their minds made them see.
That's the idea. But the detail in Glaser's account, the fighting, the movements, the smoke, it doesn't quite fit with how sundogs usually behave.
So a purely natural explanation might not cover everything.
Which brings us to the modern interpretation: UFOs.
Ah, yes, the alien theory.
Since the mid-20th century, this event has been seen as possible evidence of an extraterrestrial battle.
Spaceship dogfights in the sky.
Right. And in this view, those rods become motherships, and the spheres are smaller craft engaging in combat.
I can see how the imagery lends itself to that interpretation.
Then, of course, you have Carl Jung's psychological perspective.
Right, he wasn't focused on the literal nature of what was seen.
Exactly. For him, it was about how the human psyche interprets and projects meaning onto such events. He saw the military symbolism, the religious symbolism, even deeper archetypes.
So a case of the mind projecting its own interpretations onto a strange event.
Right. And he even suggested the sunrise timing could be symbolically significant, like a dawning of awareness.
A revelation of sorts. Interesting.
We also have to consider other ideas, like mass hysteria. Maybe the power of suggestion and belief in omens led to exaggerated accounts.
That's like a game of telephone, the story getting more dramatic with each retelling.
Exactly. And then there are more fringe theories, like the idea that it was linked to a book on pyrotechnics published the year before.
So early rockets or fireworks.
But that doesn't really explain the complexity of the descriptions and the hour-long duration.
Yeah, it doesn't quite fit. So with all these different interpretations, what's the legacy of this event? Why does it still fascinate us centuries later?
Well, the Nuremberg event has become a key piece of ancient astronaut and UFO lore. Glazer's woodcut is iconic in those circles.
A visual symbol of possible alien encounters in history.
And Jung's analysis has kept it in discussions about psychology and how we perceive the unknown.
It highlights the powerful role of our minds in shaping reality.
The imagery has inspired art, like that 2019 New York Gallery exhibition.
A historical enigma sparking modern artistic interpretations.
And of course, it pops up in documentaries and online discussions, fueling conspiracy theories.
It's a true historical mystery that keeps people guessing.
Now let's look at some of the finer details. Glazer's broadsheet itself is a fascinating artifact. It's about 26 by 38 centimeters.
Not small for a news publication of that time.
And the text is incredibly detailed. Specific colors, partly dull, partly black ferrous color, alongside the blood red distinct shapes, the arrangements, 3 in a line and 4 in a square. He even mentions the duration, over an hour, and the smoke.
Wow, he really went into detail.
It's clear that Glazer's main goal was to teach a religious lesson. He saw this event as a warning, an opportunity for repentance.
That's definitely evident in his interpretation.
Interestingly, there's another wood print by someone named Samuel Coaches that depicts the same event.
Oh, so there's more than one visual record.
Seems so. And get this, a similar event involving dark spheres was reported over Basel, Switzerland, just 5 years later.
Another celestial mystery just a few years apart.
Documented in a broadsheet as well, makes you wonder how common these sightings might have been.
Truly does. So after all this, what do you think? Was it a divine warning? A misinterpretation of natural light? An ancient alien battle? Or something else entirely?
This historic road trip into the skies of 1561 leaves us with more questions than answers, right?
Absolutely. It shows how our understanding of the world and the heavens above has changed so much.
But that's what's so captivating about history, that an event from almost 500 years ago can still spark debate and wonder.
A reminder that even history can be full of mysteries.
We really encourage you to explore those original sources yourself. You can find a link to the Public Domain Review's presentation of Glazer's broadsheet and other resources in the show notes. See what details stand out to you, what interpretations make the most sense to you. It's a real historical puzzle.
And here's something to think about. In our world full of information and explanations, what other historical events might be hiding bizarre and fascinating stories? What other mysteries are waiting to be rediscovered and reinterpreted?
Who knows? Maybe you'll be the one to uncover the next big historical enigma.
Now, that would be exciting.
Thank you for joining us on this week's History Story podcast for this historic road trip into the skies of 1561. We'll see you next time for another captivating story from the world of flash culture.
Can't wait.
Don't forget to share, rate, and follow us. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.